change the world. On we go.
Hello, welcome back to Coffee Over Apples. My name is Steph and I'm here with a super exciting announcement. This is the announcement for the Magic the Gathering Readathon hosted by myself, Max from over at Max Reads, and Kaz from over at Cats and Camera. Taking place in September, this is a build a deck readathon. So there will be teams, it is a competition, and there will be a winning team based on color. So these are the rules and guidelines and what you need to do if you would like to join us. The whole point of this competition is to get more people reading and to make it a fun way to get people together who both enjoy books and magic. So please, if you'd like to join us, I'm going to leave the links in the description for the other hosts. We're going to have a Discord where you can talk about the books that you're reading, ask questions based upon the prompts if you need to, meet some other book enthusiasts, some other magic enthusiasts, and then possibly play some magic online. There may even be some live shows and other things to go along with this. For those of you who do not know how magic works, don't worry. You do not have to be a magic player in order to join this readathon. We tried to make it accessible so that anybody can feel free to join this, and it's simple enough where if you've never played magic before, you can still potentially win. Or if you're an advanced magic player or someone who just plays regularly or just for funsies, you'll still have a good time with this. Without further ado, I'm going to explain everything, and then I will also drop written prompts and descriptions into the description box in case you need any more clarification. If you need more clarification than is provided in this video, please feel free to join our Discord. So there's 5 colors in magic, right? Red is mountains, blue is islands, black is swamps, white is plains, green is forests. For those of you who don't know what that means, think of the lands, which are these 5 different categories, are kind of like your source of magic, right? You need to control territory in order to access the natural magic of this world. When you start off this readathon, you have to choose a color faction. Now, you can go for monocolor, meaning you're just going to build a deck based off of the color red, for example. So all of your prompts are going to try to hit what's needed in order to build a red deck. Or you can do multiple colors, like let's say you wanted to do a dual mana deck, you could do books that are red and blue, or you could do, a tricolor deck. It really is up to you, but you need to delineate what it is that you're going to be building in the beginning of the competition. The reason that we need to do this is because there is a way that no one can win this readathon. So the Eldrazi, which in magic lore are kind of like the villains of the lore. They're like the aliens that go into the different worlds and devour the planes and the energy. So I'm not going to get too much into the lore here so it doesn't confuse anybody, but we'll have a section for lore and stuff like that inside the Discord for people to talk about it. But think of them as the villains. So if you don't complete a prompt that fulfills one of the colored teams, that book point goes towards the villains of the story. So in order for you to get cards in your deck that are going to be based on a color faction, we have assigned 2 ways in order for you to get lands in your deck. So if your book has red on the cover, it will automatically count as a mountain or a red card, and so whatever prompts you fulfill with that book will be considered a red card, and so that will be a point for the red team. If, for example, you said you're going to build a blue and white deck and your book has blue and white on the cover, that would be considered an island and a plains. Essentially, you would get 2 cards, 1 point for blue and 1 point for white, so on and so forth, based on what you declared at the beginning of the game. You can have your books automatically not count towards the enemies or the Eldrazi or the villains of the story just by making sure that the covers of your books match the colors of your deck. Another way to do this, if you have other books that you want to read but don't necessarily have the colors that you need in order to build your deck, is you can go by genre. We've assigned each color or land, in this case, a different genre, and so those genres will automatically fulfill that color prompt to make your cards in your deck that color. So red is read a romance or a book with action, an action-packed book. Blue is read a sci-fi or a literary fiction. Black is read a horror or a thriller. White is read a contemporary or nonfiction. And then green is read a fantasy or a historical fiction. So meaning that if you read a black book, a book that has black primarily on the cover, and it's also a horror, guess what? You've got 2 swamps. You've got 2 black cards already in your deck, so you're already ahead of the game. That's how you make sure that your cards that you're building in your deck are based on your colors. Then we have other prompts that you can fulfill to get more cards in your deck, because since the lands are the energy source, what do you do with that energy to cast your spells? You create creatures, you create artifacts, enchantments, and all the other cards that are in Magic. So this is how that's going to work. It's pretty simple. We have a prompt for each of the different card types. In order for that card not to be colorless, you just need to make sure it fulfills either the color prompt or the genre prompt. So I'm going to go through the prompts for the card types and then explain further. The card types are artifact, instant, creature, sorcery, enchantment, saga, or planeswalker. In order to create an artifact, the book has to be either published or set in the past, meaning it has to have been published or set before the current year, so before 2023. Counter to that, instant is a new release or something that you recently acquired, meaning that's something that you got in 2023 or was published in 2023. To get a creature card, it has to include nature or animal element. Sorcery is a backlog book or a backlist book, meaning something that you've been meaning to get to for a while. Enchantment is a book in a series. A saga is a short story collection or manga. And then a planeswalker, which typically is not as common in Magic decks. You only have a few of them, so this prompt is a little bit more challenging, is to do a buddy read. Because planeswalkers or buddy reads are a little bit more to do because you got to make sure that you have someone there to do it with you, that's worth 2 points for that team. There is also a bonus prompt for anyone who wants to build a commander deck. So if you want a commander for your deck, you can fulfill this prompt after completing the other prompts. Because typically in a game of Magic, you need to be able to build up your resources before you can pull out your commander, like your boss in your deck. So if you want a commander, after you fulfill the other prompts, you can fulfill it by reading a 5-star prediction. And if you get a commander, that's worth 3 points for your team. Commander is the only prompt that you can only do once, but all the other prompts can be done multiple times. Even though there's only 7 main prompts, you can do 5 artifacts and 2 of something else. You can do 10 of one thing and 3 instants. You could do them all once, or you can do them all 10 times. It's totally up to you, and you would get more points every time that you do them. So now let's talk about how to make sure that those prompts are fitting into your color deck and not actually going as points for the colorless deck or the villains, the Eldrazi. So if I did a manga in order to get the saga prompt, I would get 1 point for my team for completing a saga. Plus, if it had primarily red on the cover and I was building a red deck, I would get a 2nd point for it being red in order to fulfill that prompt. And then also, if it was a romance or something that had action, that would count as a 3rd point, because now I've completed 2 of the land prompts plus the saga prompt, so I've got 3 points for my team just from reading that one manga. Meaning that there's a lot of ways that any of these teams can win, and you can technically get multiple points on one book. However, only one book can be used per card type. Even though in Magic, there's lots of more advanced cards and more complicated ways of doing things like making an artifact creature or something like that. But for our first round of doing this readathon, we wanted to keep it simple and accessible. So 1 book per card type. So 1 book per artifact, 1 book per creature, 1 book per planeswalker, so on and so forth. But you can get up to 3 points on each book if you fulfill the color and genre prompts also. Once you fulfill a prompt, or at the end of the month, or at any time in the month, if you want to just do it all at once or do it on separate occasions, we are going to have a Google form. That Google form is going to be how we keep track of what teams are winning. So when you complete a prompt, or like I said, at the end of the month, if you want to just do it all together, we are going to count up the submissions into the Google form to figure out what team won. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to be putting out a TBR video at the beginning of September to talk about what books I'm going to be doing for this readathon and also what color deck I'm going to be making, which I'm still kind of deciding, even though I have color favorites and have more decks that I've made and interested in a certain color, so I'll probably end up leaning towards that. But at the end of September, we're going to tally up all of those submissions and then announce a winning team and then potentially randomize it and select a winning player. So once you fill out that Google form, please don't forget to put your email or contact into the Google form so we can reach out to you if you end up being the winner of the readathon. That is really it. If I think of anything else, I might drop it into the comments of this video or into the description, but me and the host are going to be posting up these videos sometime in the beginning of August, so I'm super excited for you to see this. Let me know if you're going to join. Let me know what color deck you're planning on building, and if you want to play Magic with us online, join us in the Discord. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye!
On we go.